This happened to me last year. I've never written it down before. Part of me still questions what I experienced. Maybe it was a hallucination, maybe a dream, but I remember it too clearly. The smell in the air, the pressure in my chest, the way my body froze. Something was wrong that night. I had just moved into an old apartment building, 3rd floor, Unit 5B. Nothing special, just a small, slightly run-down one-bedroom. It wasn't my first time living alone, and I enjoyed the quiet. Most of the time. One night around 10:30 p.m., I came home after dinner with some friends. As I climbed the stairs, I saw a man standing in front of my door. One hand gripped the doorknob, and the other held a set of keys. At first I thought he was a confused neighbor, or drunk, but when he turned to look at me, he didn't seem embarrassed at all. In fact, he looked surprised. "Can I help you?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. He blinked. "Oh, is okay. I live here." I stopped in my tracks. "No, you don't. I live here." He glanced at the door number, then back at me. "This is 5B, right?" "Yes, I moved in 2 months ago." He frowned, like I was the one who had gotten something wrong. "I've been living here for over a year," he said. "Are you sure you're not mistaken?" He wasn't aggressive. In fact, he was eerily polite. But something about him felt off. His clothes looked outdated, like something from a few years ago. He smelled strange, like dry paper, dust, and something faintly sour. "You must be at the wrong place," I said, stepping past him and unlocking the door. The key turned smoothly. Definitely my place. I turned to show him. "See? This is my apartment." But he didn't move. He kept staring past me into the room. "My shoes are usually right there," he said, pointing to the wall by the entrance. "And my cat always sleeps on the couch." I froze. All the furniture in the apartment was mine, except the couch. It had been left behind by the previous tenant. And not just that. He mentioned a cat. That couch. I haven't sat on it since the first week I moved in. One night, I was too tired to go to bed and crashed on it. The next morning, I woke up with a strange, deep pain across my back. In the shower, the water burned like I'd been scratched raw. I checked the mirror. Red welts covered my back, like something with claws had crawled all over me during the night. I tore apart the cushions looking for hidden nails or sharp objects. Nothing. It didn't make sense. But now, the idea of a cat made it worse. An invisible cat? There was more. A friend of mine once visited. The thing got weird when he sat on the couch. He began sneezing uncontrollably, eyes red, nose running. We all know he's extremely allergic to cats. But we had no cat in the room, and when he was eating with me at the dining table, he was fine. Why did the allergy start only after he sat on the couch? In the end, the symptoms got worse, and he decided to go home. And when he stood up from the couch and walked toward the door, I noticed something that made my stomach turn. His back was covered in cat hair, golden yellow, streaked with white. It clung to his black shirt like he'd been lying in a cat bed. After that, I never touched the couch again. I used it to pile storage boxes instead. Now, this stranger was standing in front of me, insisting he lived here. Insisting his cat slept on that cursed couch. I turned toward him, ready to demand answers. But something changed. His face turned pale, almost gray, and his eyes, they locked on mine with an unnatural stillness, like he was trying to see through me. His hand tightened on the doorknob. I could feel him trying to push it open. I backed away quickly, stepped inside, and slammed the door shut. Locked it. Deadbolt, chain, everything. I peeked through the peephole. He was still there, just standing, not knocking, not moving, just staring at the door. After a minute or two, he finally turned and walked slowly down the hallway, disappearing into the shadows. I didn't sleep that night. I jammed a chair under the doorknob, left every light on. The next day, I went to the building manager and asked if he knew anything about the previous tenant of 5B. He hesitated, then told me the unit had been empty for nearly 6 years before I moved in. The last tenant, a man, had vanished one night, disappeared, left behind all his belongings. Even his cat is gone. His family came later and cleared out the place. The manager even pulled up the old records. The name? It matched the one that had been printed on the mailbox label before mine. I asked if he had a photo of the man or any more personal information. The manager refused, said it wasn't his place to share. I went back to the apartment, trying to make sense of it all. And then something else hit me. The spot the man had pointed to, that place by the door. That's where I'd found a pair of old men's shoes when I first moved in. I thought the previous tenant had forgotten them, so I threw them out without thinking. Until now, I still live in that apartment. And luckily, I never saw that man again.